Episode 11, The Second Revelation, Stand and Warn. Time passed after the first revelation, and though Muhammad carried its weight with patience, his heart remained alert and waiting. Hours turned into days, days into weeks, yet nothing happened. Muhammad would wander Makkah, its valleys and mountains, wanting to see Jibril again. But Jibril would not appear. More than a month passed, and Muhammad would begin to wonder if the first meeting was just an imagination. He would go to Jabal al-Nur every day, hoping for a sign, but there was nothing there. 40 days after the first revelation, Muhammad found himself in the cave of Hira again. He sat in silence and anticipation for hours before deciding it was time to go back home. As he was coming down the mountain, he heard his name being called. He looked left and right and did not see anyone, until he lifted his gaze in shock. He saw Jibril in his full, magnificent form, filling the horizon. The angel's presence was overwhelming, vast beyond human comprehension, with 600 wings stretching across the horizon, radiant and powerful. Fear and awe seized Muhammad. His body trembled, and once again he hurried home, his heart pounding with the nearness of the unseen. When he reached Khadijah, he called out, "Cover me! Cover me!" She wrapped him gently in a cloak, as she had before, holding him in calm reassurance. And while he was covered, revelation descended once more. The words came not as comfort alone, but as command. "O you who are wrapped up, stand and warn, and your Lord glorify, and your clothing purify, and all impurity shun." Surah al-Muddathir, 74, 1-5. These verses marked a turning point. The time of private supplication had ended. Muhammad was being called to rise, to speak, to warn humanity, and to guide them back to the worship of the one true God. This was the true beginning of his mission. The first person he told was Khadijah. Without hesitation, she believed in him completely. She became the first adult woman to accept Islam, standing beside him not only as a wife, but as a believer, supporter, and protector. Then he called those closest to his heart. Ali ibn Abi Talib, still a young boy living in his household, and Zayd ibn Haritha, who was like a son to him. Both accepted his message without doubt. Waraka ibn Nawfal, though elderly and nearing the end of his life, also affirmed the truth of what had come to Muhammad. Then Muhammad went to his closest friend, Abu Bakr. Their meeting was quiet and simple, without ceremony. Muhammad spoke to him with honesty and calm, telling him that God had chosen him as his messenger and calling him to worship the one God alone. Abu Bakr did not hesitate. He did not argue, demand proof, or question Muhammad's character. He knew the man before him. He knew his truthfulness, his integrity, and his purity of heart. Abu Bakr said simply, "I believe you." With those words, Abu Bakr became one of the earliest believers in Islam. His acceptance was powerful, for he was a man of influence, wisdom, and respect in Makkah. Immediately, he began inviting others whom he deeply trusted, men known for their honesty and strength of character. Through him, many would come to Islam. Another notable new Muslim at the hands of Abu Bakr was Uthman ibn Affan. Under the soft glow of the desert sun, Abu Bakr sat beside Uthman with the quiet dignity that had always defined him. "O Uthman," he began gently, "you are a man of wisdom and insight. Do you not see that these stones we worship neither hear nor see? They can neither harm us nor benefit us." Uthman listened in thoughtful silence, his heart already inclined toward reflection. Abu Bakr continued, lowering his voice with sincerity. "Allah has sent Muhammad with a message of truth, to worship him alone, without partners, and to abandon what our people have long followed without guidance." Uthman's expression softened, and he replied with quiet conviction, "By Allah, this is not the speech of falsehood. It is as if I have always known this to be true." Upon hearing Abu Bakr's words, his heart opened without resistance. Abu Bakr then said, "Come, and I will take you to Muhammad, so you may hear from him directly." Without hesitation, Uthman agreed, and soon after, in the presence of the Prophet, he bore witness to the oneness of Allah and the truth of his messenger, embracing Islam with a certainty that would remain firm throughout his life. As the message spread quietly over the next few months, the early Muslims gathered in secret. They met in selected homes, learning the Quran and the teachings of Islam away from public eyes. They chose midday when the heat was so intense that most of Makkah slept indoors to avoid suspicion. In the stillness of those burning hours, verses of the Quran were whispered, prayers were learned, and faith took root. This hidden phase of Islam continued for 3 years. Slowly but steadily, the number of believers grew. Among them was Bilal, an enslaved, dark-skinned Abyssinian man whose heart recognized the truth even when his body was owned by others. During these 3 initial years, revelation from the Creator descended regularly. The focus of early revelation was on spiritual strengthening, the belief in one God without partners, and preparation for public preaching. Verses focused on calls for justice, such as caring for orphans and feeding the poor. There were vivid descriptions of the Day of Judgment, paradise, Jannah, and hellfire, Jahannam, to establish moral responsibility. God also recounted stories of previous prophets, like Noah, Ibrahim, and Musa, to provide lessons from history. In quiet, safe houses, the first Muslim community also learned how to stand together before their Lord. Side by side, free and enslaved, young and old, rich and poor, they washed with the same water and prayed in the same direction, united by belief rather than tribe. Muhammad guided them gently, repeating the movements, correcting them with patience, and reminding them that prayer was not a burden, but a gift. The world did not yet know it. Makkah did not yet see it. But a revolution had begun, not with swords or armies, but with whispered verses, brave hearts, and a man who had been commanded, stand and warn. The angel had declared his mission from Allah. The Quran was unfolding in the heart of Muhammad and his followers, and a community was being formed that would one day change the course of history. Like, share, and subscribe. Join us in episode 12